lose 40 pounds in 1 week, turn $1 into $10,000 in just under a month. These are all really nice slogans, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I find myself clicking on them just to see what they're pitching. What about if you were just to invest $250 into this high yield savings account? In 35 years, you would have $2.5 million. Now, which one of these is better? My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and we're starting a new series where we pit two topics together. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about quick wins versus long-term successes. And I think it's going to be a pretty spicy topic because we live in an instant gratification society right now, and so we want those quick wins. But there are some instances where maybe the slow burn is really what you need. So let's dig in and find out which one you feel is the best answer for you. So what's all the hype around quick wins? Well, sometimes they feel like progress, even when they aren't. They are actually going to give you validation very early on. And in the society that we live in, that's a lot of what we look for. We are creating videos, we are doing things online, and we are looking back almost immediately to see, is anybody watching? Is anybody seeing what I'm doing? And that instant feedback can actually be momentum for the continuation of what we're doing. But what happens when you don't see that instant gratification? What happens when you don't see those likes, those views? Do you still push ahead? And don't get me wrong, the feedback that you're getting right away is perfect. That's what you want. You don't want to waste any more time on the things that you're doing. You want to be able to say, you know what, I'm getting some successes right now, I'm going to push forward. But understand that there are going to be those situations in life where it takes a little bit more time for you to see those successes that maybe make you want to push forward. And I don't want to see people give up on things a little bit too quickly. And I think a lot of times you're going to see some long-term successes bundled in with some of those quick wins. In fact, those quick wins are actually going to help you along the way in pushing yourself to those long-term successes. I think about content creation. When you are working on videos, maybe it's short form videos and maybe some long form videos, you're going to be playing around things with like your title, your thumbnails, things of that nature to see, am I getting a different reaction? Am I getting different viewers? Am I asking different questions? Things of that nature. And as you're playing with it, you're going to see those quick wins or maybe some things that you can do differently to achieve those quick wins. But you have to be thinking to yourself, what are my long-term goals? Am I just trying to be a flash in the pan, get one viral video and just be happy? Or am I really enjoying making content? So I want to continue to do this over a longer term. And so I'm looking at, how do I build my brand? How do I build my successes? How do I build my community? And sometimes chasing the quick wins can actually come at a cost. There's a lot of great things that can happen by focusing on quick wins, but depending on the outcome, the quick win may not be the best route. I look at losing weight as probably one of the biggest short-term scams that I've ever seen. We all want to see that weight drop off. If you're somebody that's interested in losing weight, you've probably looked at a lot of different plans out there that talk about how they can get you to lose weight and lose weight fast. But what you don't know, or maybe what you don't understand, is that losing weight is something that takes time. And it is also something that you're not going to see the benefits right away. And that's where focusing on some of these short-term ideas may not have the benefits that you see. Because when you look at losing weight, you're going to work out really hard for a week, and you're going to be sore, and you're going to hate it, and it's going to suck. And depending on the things that you do, you may not see the visual cues that you want to see. You might see pounds, you getting on a scale and seeing those pounds disappear, but you may not look in the mirror and say, look, I look thinner. It's not going to happen overnight. And when it doesn't happen, most of the time, people quit, or they move on to the next thing that they feel they can do in order to lose weight fast. I also think that there's a common misconception where people feel that quick wins equals easy wins. And there are a lot of things that you can do out there right now that will net you a very quick win, but it's not always the easiest win. And so I think it's very important to be able to distinguish the differences between the two of them. So when you're embarking on some of these journeys, make sure you're asking yourself, am I looking for something that's going to happen very quickly, or am I looking for something that's going to happen very easily? Because those two things can be very dangerous to play with. I think it's fine to look for quick wins all the time, just as long as you know there's going to be hard work that goes into it. So let's talk about the power of long-term successes. When you're focusing on long-term successes, you're focusing on building systems, not just moments. And one of the books I talk a lot about is James Clear's Atomic Habit. And his quote, "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." It's something that I truly believe in, because if you have the right systems in place, then there's really not much that you're not going to see success from. And this is the type of success that is compounding. It's just like interest in a bank account. You may not see a lot of gains right away, but as it starts to grow, you start to see this exponential growth over time, and you start to see great benefits happen. But it's that time that it takes in order to make yourself successful. And the great thing about this method is it's actually building resistance, so that when things kind of get hard and break down, you don't break down. And it can also help you in your short-term success focus. If you're building resistance with these long-term successes, when you start to focus on some of these short-term goals, you can actually build the resistance up so that if it does fail, it doesn't break you down nearly as much as if you were only focusing in on those short-term successes. And the great thing about it is that as you're starting to do it, it almost puts yourself into this autopilot mode, so that when you start to do these things over and over again, you almost don't need to focus on it anymore. It just happens just out of habit. So why is this the harder route to choose sometimes? Well, I mean, it's not sexy. You don't get the applause that you might get with some of those short-term successes right away. You may not see those fast ones, but you will see lasting ones. Just like I said, with losing weight, you're not gonna see those changes happen in the mirror overnight. It's just like taking a piece of toilet paper off of that roll. If you take one at a time, you're not going to see the results. But if you keep doing it over and over and over again, you will notice that roll start to diminish and it will start to disappear. It's just like that. But you have to keep that persistence up. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I may not see it now, but I will see it soon. And it's gonna be tough. This is a hard way to do it, because while other people around you are maybe getting celebrated for those quick wins, you might still feel invisible. You might feel like the things that you're doing don't matter, but you've got to be able to continue to push forward. So I've been watching a lot of Diary of the CEO podcasts, and I've been going through some of the older content, and I ran across the interview that he did with Casey Neistat, and he's been talking a lot about persistence and patience. And he talked about how it's actually patience that gets you the win and not necessarily persistence. And when we think about persistence, persistence is something where you're just continually pushing over and over again. Whereas patience is understanding that things might take a little bit of time, and you kind of have to wait sometimes for those things to kind of come true. And it's not always something that you're working towards. And so it's important to not only have persistence, but really have a lot of good patience along the way as well. Thanks so much for watching today. Look, I don't know if there is one way to do it. I think you have to look at the quick wins, and I think you have to look at your long-term successes. Really, it's about managing your expectations and thinking about what is attainable for you. There are going to be times where you see quick wins for other people, and you try to replicate that, and it just doesn't work out for you. And that's just the thing. Some things work for some where they don't work for others. And you have to be thinking about what it is that you can do to make yourself the most successful. And remember, win when you can, and exercise patience, not persistence. I'd love to understand what things that you're doing currently, maybe that kind of fall into those quick win categories, or maybe some of the long-term successes that you've had. Make sure you comment down below. If you haven't had a chance, do me a favor, check out some of the videos I've got posted. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level, it starts with a single step. Take your step today. We'll see you next time.